Hello everyone, welcome back to another Gate Ruler video. This time I'm going to be talking about the Genesis summon deck. This is the next faction focus, so you guys voted for this. It was pretty overwhelming. I think it was 60-something% for this option. Now, before we get started, I just want to ask you guys to please comment down below, after you like and subscribe of course, what you would like me to do next. I have some ideas, but I'd like to just get some audience feedback ideas. So comment what you'd like me to do, and then I'll put a poll out or if one gets commented a lot, then I'll probably just do that. Or I'll get some ideas and I'll put a poll out and I'll go based off of that. It'll be one or the other, but let me know what you would like me to do. One deck I'd rather avoid for now is going to be any of the Abyss summons stuff, because I still have a lot of testing to do with that, and I'm not confident in my opinions on that just yet. Also, any like super obscure decks I'm not going to have super confident opinions about. Generally stuff I've tested, or like the big obvious things, and what I'm going to have good, reasonably well-founded opinions about right now. Obviously in the future that'll change. But anyway, that's enough of the ramble. Let's get started with we're talking about the Genesis summon archetype. And the way this works is you take a unit with Genesis summoning, of which there are 2 in this first set, and you take 1 or more wizard or warrior units and you put them to the bottom of your deck, and then you search your deck for 1 dragon or warrior unit whose level is less than or equal to your level of materials combined, and special summon it. So it's kind of like synchro summoning or contact fusion from Yu-Gi-Oh! If you've played that, very synchro summoning kind of feel, certainly. Obviously a little better because it's going to be less than or equal to, so you can go too high on the level, but it's usually not going to happen. And there are a few different options for what you pair with this. One has to be Volnar, because all the Genesis summoners are in Volnar. You could go for Atlas as well in terms of like doing as an option for the Genesis summoning, but personally I think Yomajin front is the way to go. And that's basically just for 1 card. So I'm going to be talking through the main important cards here. But first we've got Shiori Rodeo. This card is ridiculous because it's a 1-card Genesis summon as the touchdown or overdrive, so you can use this in any ruler. You get to choose 1 familiar from your cemetery and special summon it. Familiar is a really important keyword. Familiar lets the unit that has it gain any attribute until the end of the turn. So any unit with familiar is always completely fair game for making any kind of unit, which is very, very big, very, very useful, does a lot to aid the consistency of the deck. And you can see how this is relevant with Shiori, because it means you special summon out a familiar with a level of 1, and suddenly that is an instant level 3 summon. The other summoner to keep in mind is Marriage of Gold Rings Porter, who's also pretty good. The touchdown is to discard a card to draw 1, so this can help you filter. But it's obviously level 1, so that's going to be a little bit more restrictive in terms of what you go into. The Genesis summoning condition is exactly the same. It also only has 1 HP, which is an advantage of Shiori here, is it has 3 HP. That's actually a reasonably good threshold value. There are like threshold values in this game that are like kind of annoying to deal with. 3 is pretty annoying to deal with because a lot of the destruction in this game is 2 burn. Now obviously there are ways to buff that, but 2 is a pretty common amount. So 3 means you're safe from a lot more stuff. Another one of those is 5. There's a good amount of stuff that burns. There's stuff that burns for 4 or less. There's also a lot of 4 attack things in the game, but there's less 5 attack things, though there are still quite a few. Another one is like 7 or 8, that kind of area. That's like another big threshold value. Beyond that, it's so much that it's ridiculous to expect to get consistently anyway, but hitting 7 or whatever on a unit is like really big and to deal with. That's a tangent. The point is, this is a good amount of HP, which is going to make this a very safe unit to be Genesis summoning with. So those are your summoners. Let's talk through some of your example materials, and we'll start with the familiars in Volnar. So here's an example. Now I'm just going to go through some of the options. I'm not necessarily saying you should run these. Here we have Golden Dogs as a level 1 4/2/2 with familiar, and it's a light and a beast. So simple, very simple there. This is going to help you make a 3, but this is definitely one of the worst familiars. Yes, it is big, but generally speaking, you don't really care about your familiar stats because you are just going to be trying to send them away. It's nice to have good stats, don't get me wrong, if you are in a, less than optimal situation. This can help you clear something in the center, or with 2 strike it can help you go for game. So there is value to this, but I generally speaking I would prioritize the cheaper things. This is probably the worst one here. So this is a Wind Warrior Light level 0, 3, 2, 1. The touchdown to make it a level 1, which means that it's only going to let you make a 3 if you play it from hand, which means you take up your second summon, which is like negating the whole value of Shiori. So I think this card's pretty bad, honestly. Yeah, not much of a reason to play it, in my opinion. The niche scenario is like if you have a level 1 familiar on board already and you play a Paula and then you play this and then you can make a 3, but you could do that with any level 1 familiar. And a lot of the familiars have this effect. Hydra familiar, this is a beast, this is a 2/2/1, it has the familiar, and then normal, this unit becomes level 1 till the end of the turn. So this is the kind of effect that's going to be very valuable. Shiori, Hydra familiar, 3, bang. Easy, sorted. The best familiar, however, and pretty much the biggest reason I think you would want to be playing Yomajin front, is Calico Cat Sith. This card is very strong. So this is a 2/1/1 familiar. However, this can become a level 1 or 2 until the end of the turn, which means that 1, there's a potential for level 4s in the future. This will let you make that with Shiori instantly, but more practical matters, this plus Paula will let you go into a 3, which is an option the Atlas variation of Genesis Summon is not going to have. So that's why I think that's so important. It's just giving you another option to actually go into your big, powerful things. Some other cards you can run here. This is a wizard, so this is something you can use to make anything at level 1. And it's also a little bit of control. It can burn 2, and it's also got 2 strike, which is quite valuable in terms of just pushing face. So there's a lot of good about this card here. And I think that's... and then there's also Mr. Dead Language here, who, as you can see, it's wizard or warriors, and Mr. Dead Language is a warrior and has a pretty powerful effect. When there's an attack in the new attack zone, damage to Delta is 0, so it forces your opponent to go for it. And there's also 3 HP and 3 attack, so reasonably good stats there. So it's a pretty powerful card. Is it worth running? More testing needs to be done on this deck to see how useful it is in that particular deck. It's possible that it's not worth the space. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm just presenting this as an option for you to be aware of. So the final little bit of support here before I go into the actual stuff you're going to be Genesis summoning is Interdimensional War. This is whenever you successfully Genesis summon or Abyss summon, you heal 1. So this is a very versatile spell. It also means that if you are going to be running a sort of fusion deck, it's a really powerful spell. However, the fusion deck is going to be far more darkness focused. In my testing, focusing it more towards the Genesis side makes it a lot weaker, and it's just like running dead cards essentially. It's much better if you are having like a small amount of Genesis in a darkness deck. But anyway, that's very much tangential, and I can worry about that sort of when the time comes there. Anyway, now let's talk about the whole reason you would want to be Genesis summoning in the first place. Let's go through some of your Genesis summoning options. So we'll start with the 2s. Here are a couple of particularly good ones. So here we've got Red Dragon, Crimson Siltus. So this is a 4/5/2, very nice stats. And when it's Genesis summoned, you can burn 3 to an enemy unit. So burning 3 is a good amount of burn. That's going to be targeting a lot of cheap stuff. If your opponent has just put a cheap blocker in the defensive zone, like a level 0 or something, this is probably going to kill it, which is pretty nice. 5 HP is big and beefy and annoying to deal with. 4 attack is nice. Good amount of clearing power. Combined with the 3 burn from Genesis summoning it, this means this has a total amount of clearing power of 7, so this can clear pretty much anything. Good card, strong card. I think it's very much worth playing. Your second major option is Sky King Aris, and I think this is of particular note because this is a warrior itself. So this means that you can actually ladder up to a 3 if you've already got this on board with another Paula, for example. So this is a 4/4/2, so pretty good stats. 4/5/2 would have been really, really good, though probably a bit too good. When it's Genesis summoned, you heal 1. Do not sleep on healing 1, just really easily. And it has a defender. And a 4/4/2 defender is pretty damn good. Robos just get that without the Genesis summoning bonus, but obviously they get the Robo trait for that synergy. But anyway, and they also anyway, unrelated. This card is good. those are the twos. They're important, but they're not the big flashy reason you want to play the deck. Here's the big flashy reason you want to play the deck. You can Genesis Summon into Magvarious, and this is so powerful. I think it's, it shouldn't be a surprise just how strong going into something like this is. If Magvarious is not checked earlier in the game and you don't draw it, which is, reasonably likely, bearing in mind every time you Genesis Summon, you are putting things back into your deck. So, on the one hand, that's good because it does mean that you're less likely to be drawing into this card. On the other hand, it's bad because it actually means that over the course of the game, you're sort of getting kind of less and less likely to see your counters effectively because you're buffing up your deck size, but you're not putting counters back in. So anyway, the important thing here is as long as this is in your deck and you can go into this later on in the game at 6-7 damage, instant board wipe with Shiori into a 7-7-3, which is a really, really scary thing to have. This is super strong. And yeah, this is like a big, big reason you would want to be playing Genesis Summon as a deck. Second big reason from Volnar is Platinum King Albavort. This is another very powerful card here. 7/6/2, that 6 is really painful actually. You're going to find yourself getting hit by a Zap 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 or a Buster Arm a lot, and it's going to be painful, but it is what it is. This is what you pay for because this will heal you and it has Breakthrough, which is a very powerful skill to have. This is just a good card, just a straight up good card. Another option is if you wanted to go for a more control-based route, is you've got Arumasaki. So this is a dragon, and it's a 5/5/2, so it stats up pretty bad, but damage dealt to you becomes 1, and as a normal, you can just start discarding your events to just burn your whole opponent's board. This can be really strong. Personally, I'm more of a fan of the big explosive Volnar style stuff and the big dragons, and there's also a promo 7/7/3 just vanilla, which is very much worth playing because 7/7/3 vanilla. It's called Zolta. I probably should have got that up here. That's my bad. But promo called something Zolta, ZOLTER. You can find that pretty easily. 7/7/3 vanilla. Do not sleep on the power of a 7/7/3. It's scary, hard to deal with. Slap that into defensive zone. It's very possible your opponent's just not going to be able to deal with it. Combined with Yomajin's ability to buff HP very easily or give intercept, that can be really scary. But sort of a side tangent there. If you want to go down a control route, that's totally valid. This is super good for that. So do not sleep on that as an option. So that's sort of the main way the deck functions. So I think you've got a fairly good idea here. Those are some of the key cards. Those are some of your options. That's kind of how the deck all works together. You use your summoners, you use your warriors or your familiars, which will then themselves become warriors or wizards. Indeed, you can also use your wizards to make your big level 3 thing and do something explosive. Generally, the idea of the deck is you're taking your cheaper, smaller pieces that you are able to play pretty easily, and you're just hard value converting them into something better. Now, a potential pitfall of this deck is if you are unlucky in your damage checks and you start seeing a few 3s ending up in the damage zone, you can actually run out of targets really quickly. So you're sort of forced to run a large number of targets, which overall can make your deck a little bit inconsistent. It's a weird relationship because with Darkness, what you have is a lot of the best things you're running can just end up putting themselves into the discard. Either they have counter or they can be healed directly out because that deck also has a lot of healing. Whilst you can heal stuff directly out here, there's basically no counters that are going to be putting themselves in the discard, and also stuff being in the discard doesn't help this deck, whereas it does help Darkness. So there's the sort of contrast there. That's the price you're paying because in essence, the way you do this is a lot easier. It's much less setup. You kind of just need one of many cards and a summoner. It's really easy to get that 2-card combo together. There are ways to do it. It's generally a bit easier, but I would say the power level is on average a bit lower, but it goes off a lot more easily. So that might be worth it. Worth experimenting with, certainly. I encourage everyone to give it a go. So I hope you guys found this video informative today. I hope you found it useful. Please like the video if you did. Sub to the channel for more Gate Roller content. Please leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Let me know what faction focus you would like to see next. I enjoy making these, and it's a good way for me to sort of voice my initial thoughts and impressions on the kind of factions in this game. I am fully expecting to be proven very wrong about many things I say in the future, and I'm totally okay with that. Game is just out. The landscape is constantly shifting and evolving. There's absolutely no way anyone has even close to an optimal list for anything right now. As much as I may run around saying, "Oh, my Crime Lords is the best deck," and it probably isn't. There's probably a lot more testing that's just going to come around, and we might end up going like Crime Lords. Oh, no, I know you said that deck was tier 1, but turns out it's like tier 2. I'm happy to be wrong. Really don't mind. It's all gravy. Anyway, that's it. That's the rant. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.